In China's tough and image-conscious entertainment industry, love stories are rarely revealed without layers of doubt and speculation. However, there is one name that has recently become the talk of the town for his honesty and sincerity in talking about his heart: Bai Jingting. This actor, known for his calm, intelligent, and humorous personality, recently appeared in an exclusive interview that left Chinese netizens in awe. Not because of controversy or promotional tactics for his latest film, but because of his gentle, honest, and heartfelt confession about the person who quietly fills his heart, Zhang Ruonan. The interview took place in a relaxed atmosphere, without excessive formality, just a rattan chair, the warm light of the afternoon, and a cup of jasmine tea steaming gently in Bai Jingting's hand. The journalist began with light questions about the film project and work dynamics, but it didn't take long for the conversation to touch on more personal matters. About love, about someone who quietly brought him new warmth in the midst of a glittering yet lonely world. At first, Bai Jingting smiled, chuckling slightly as if to avoid answering. But then, with a tone that grew serious, he said, "Actually, I never thought I'd fall in love in such a situation. But maybe the heart has its own way of recognizing the right person." The journalist, not missing the opportunity, immediately asked, "Who is it? And what makes them so special?" Instantly, the atmosphere changed. Bai Jingting's usually playful face softened, his eyes glowing with a different light. He mentioned one name, Zhang Ruonan, a name that had long been associated with him due to their extraordinary chemistry in various projects, but had never been officially confirmed. This time, however, there was no denial. There was no attempt to hide or deny it. Just a calm admission, "I fell in love with her because of that one moment." The confession immediately sent shockwaves through the online world. But even more surprising was the story behind that one moment. In the interview, Bai Jingting recounted that it all began during the filming of their drama that aired last year. The project, which was filled with pressure and a tight schedule, often left everyone exhausted. However, one night, after filming ended very late and everyone seemed drained, Bai Jingting sat alone on the stairs of the production trailer, trying to gather his tired thoughts. At that moment, the sky was dark, the air was cold, and the atmosphere was eerily quiet. Then, suddenly, Zhang Ruonan arrived with 2 cups of hot tea in her hands. There were no grand speeches, no dramatic gestures, just a smile and a cup of tea offered silently without much words. Zhang Ruonan simply said softly, "You look very tired. Don't forget to take care of yourself." Then she sat beside him, silent, gazing at the sky together without a word. In that moment, time seemed to stand still. Bai Jingting recalled it in a voice almost a whisper. It was simple, but it felt like home. That was the moment that changed everything. The moment when someone didn't try to be special, but instead became extraordinary because of their quiet and sincere kindness. Bai Jingting admitted that since that night, he began to see Zhang Ruonan in a different light. Not just as a professional and talented colleague, but as someone who was there at the right time, in the most human way possible. Their relationship, of course, didn't develop overnight. As she admitted, they initially kept their distance, trying to remain professional, suppressing the feelings that were beginning to grow to avoid public scrutiny. However, the world has a funny way of continuing to bring 2 hearts that are searching for each other together. From project to project, from promotions to photo shoots, they remained in each other's orbit until the feelings that were once small slowly grew into something that could no longer be ignored. Bai Jingting shared how he began to discover other sides of Zhang Ruonan. Behind her soft and feminine appearance lies extraordinary strength. She is a woman who doesn't give up easily, who knows how to lighten the mood, and who never lets anyone feel alone. She doesn't say much, but her presence is always felt, Bai said with a smile. When asked if they are currently together, Bai Jingting did not give an explicit answer. But the way he stared blankly out the window for a moment, with a faint smile he couldn't hide, spoke volumes. He didn't need to confirm anything. The vulnerability of his emotions that night was already a confession in itself. The public, of course, was abuzz. The fanbase of Zhang Ruonan and Bai Jingting, who had only been able to speculate based on their interactions behind the scenes and sweet moments on variety shows, finally received some validation. Fans began digging up all the old videos, searching for signs they might have missed. The gentle glances behind the camera, the way they laughed when they didn't realize they were being recorded, or how Bai Jingting always seemed a little more alive when he was next to Zhang Ruonan. However, behind all the excitement, what was more touching was Bai Jingting's courage to speak up. In an industry where romantic relationships can backfire and feelings are often buried for the sake of image, his confession felt like a breath of fresh air. He didn't make a grand declaration, didn't create drama, just a small story about a quiet night, a cup of tea, and a woman extending simple kindness. The interview went viral. Fans, netizens, and even fellow celebrities offered their support. Many praised Bai Jingting's honesty, calling him an example that love doesn't always have to be grand and extravagant. Sometimes, love comes in the simplest forms, like a meaningful silence or a warm cup of tea on a cold night. Zhang Ruonan himself has not directly responded to the interview, but his studio account posted a photo of him with a caption that seemed to unintentionally touch on the core of Bai's story. Sometimes, the quietest moments hold the loudest voices. A simple sentence, but one that made the public believe he had heard, and perhaps, without needing words, had already responded. Now, all eyes are on this couple. Not because people want to pry into their privacy, but because the public quietly hopes that in a world often filled with superficiality, there is still love born from silence. Love that begins with selfless kindness, sincere small gestures, and two people finding each other amidst the chaos of life. For Bai Jingting, love arrives without warning, without an agenda. It comes when a woman sits beside him, offering warmth in its simplest form. And in a world filled with noise, that moment, quiet, peaceful, and full of meaning, becomes the reason why he falls in love. And perhaps, that is the truest form of love.